In Chapter 5 of George Whitefield, America's Spiritual Founding Father, chapter A Tour Around America, the American South and the Bethesda Orphanage, Thomas Kidd tells the story of George Whitefield's tour from New York City to Savannah, Georgia, and the many stops in between. Kidd relays many facets of Whitefield's 1739 journey in America, beginning with how he won the favor of Benjamin Franklin to be the printer of his sermons. The narrative then takes a detour to discuss the differences of opinion between Whitefield and his mentor John Wesley on the tenets of Calvinism versus Arminianism, before then returning to the story of the many stops and challenges that met Whitefield on his journey to the southern colonies. Kidd also spends considerable time describing the friendships, alliances, and opposition that faced the itinerant pastor in the colonies. In addition to friends like Benjamin Franklin, during the visit, Whitefield also worked with the evangelist preachers Theodorus Fellenhausen and William and Gilbert Tennant. Many other clergy, particularly the Anglican commissaries, tended to oppose Whitefield as he came into their towns. One instance that Kidd recounts is the March 1740 return to Charlestown when Whitefield angered the commissary Alexander Garden enough to be thrown out of his house. The chapter also focuses on the reason for Whitefield's travel to Georgia, that is, setting up the Bethesda orphanage. Here, Kidd illuminates the challenges he faced with the board of trustees for the orphanage in getting the funding for and initiating the building of the project in Savannah. So throughout this episode, as told by Kidd, he demonstrates the many aspects of the Great Awakening from the vantage of George Whitefield. Here in his account, we see examples of the colonies wrestling with their identity, as they were in the mid-18th century, as evangelist preachers sought to persuade the masses to join their new faith, which freed them from the bounds of the unconverted and the unregenerate clergy of the old church. And so I believe Kidd, as we also see in the other text, is really laying out how this journey of the evangelists during the Great Awakening really parallels with the searching of identity for freedom in the American Revolutionary period. So we see him really, between the lines, ask this question, would the colonies be seeking for freedom, or would they stay comfortable with their current authorities? Kidd shares many of the social, financial, and theological challenges that Whitefield faces as he seeks to persuade the colonists to join his views. Brett McAnally writes in A New World, a new approach to answering his critics, George Whitefield, American Colonies, 1747-5. He says that Whitefield sought the controversy by stating things such as that the New England clergy were in a defunct spiritual state. So this is definitely a more aggressive way of describing how Whitefield approached things. While Kidd does not explicitly share this sharp take on Whitefield that he was intentionally antagonizing to stir things up, we do see that he records Whitefield's fervor against those who he deemed non-regenerate, such as in the Garner incident. Kidd seems also to reject the over-sensationalized view of Whitefield being led by his passion in these manners. For example, the incident with Elizabeth Delamite, as Harry Stout describes him as being obsessive in that situation. Kidd seems to reject that view. Kidd's account on George Whitefield's journey through America is thorough, as it examined his preaching, the friendly and oppositional encounters, as well as adventures in store and orphanage, and the other features of the journey. Thank you.